Hi, welcome. This is my second broadcast of the day. We just got done about an hour, a little over an hour ago, with my broadcast over on hobotuck.com. For those of you that took the poll a couple weeks back when I was asking, hey, which one of these subjects would you not want to miss? And out of the people that voted, most people, I think it was like 60% of people said that they would rather um, that the most important one to them would be Constitutional Monday. So today's Monday. I did Constitutional Monday over there. We talked about some cases that are going on and some things that are going on in the Supreme Court. There are three major cases that are. Hey, what's up, Cherokee? Nice to see you, buddy. There are three major cases that are up that you really need to pay attention to. You can find them in the blog. So if you go over to hobotuck.com and in the blog, you'll see the different court cases, the actual names. Uh, New signal or camera looks clear. Um, well, I've had to take it out of the case. I think that there was so many smudges around the case and stuff like that. Having it out of the case, I kind of polished the glass a lot more. Um, so yeah, I think there part of it's that, and plus I think I've done an update. But yeah, I mean that's kind of what's been going on. But anyways, if we talked about there's a case coming up. It's called CASA, or Trump v. CASA, and essentially it's to take away birthright citizenship. I don't know if any of you guys have heard any of this. This is probably why we see the protests going on, is because this court case is coming up, and they just kind of want to rattle the cages of some people and let people know. So apparently these protests should be over in the next couple of days, hopefully, and we won't have any other issues. But the thing that's important is how birthright citizenship is being defined. Um, when two parents come into the country, are foreign nationals because they have an allegiance to somebody other than the United States. Well, under the 14th Amendment and the citizenship, born or naturalized, they uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, they perverted something very simple and just kind of left it out because it helped them win their argument. And in reality, I now I understand more fully why Donald Trump says what the things that he says, because it makes sense. It's very important. It's real simple. You know, these people are foreign nationals, and then they come here and they have babies, and that's where the whole anchor baby thing starts. Is because there were some naturalized citizens excuse me, no, some Chinese citizens that had moved to America, and they were naturalized, but they ended up having a child here. And then when they went back to China and they tried coming back, they couldn't get back into the country. So therefore, that was how birthright citizenship was born. What's up, Jade? Um, and so it's amazing to see the history on how it was perverted. I learned a little bit today. I've known a lot of this stuff, but not in the detail that I knew. And we really went into detail today when we did when we talked about that. The other case that is up is has to do with FISA courts and agency courts. Right now, an agency can be a kangaroo court. Essentially, it has no judicial authority, but yet they go in there and they create or the agencies create their own administrative process, which gives them administrative judges who actually have no holding, no standing, because they're nothing more than lawyers. They don't have an oath of office. And so, we talked a little bit about that today. Well, this is the other fight that's going on, is that somebody who was found guilty of what would be a misdemeanor had the SEC come in there, tie up all of his funds, and it was the guy is suing because it's like, look, these guys don't even have any real authority. They're administrative judges. They're not actual judges. So that could actually undo a lot of all of those judgments, because it would have been a kangaroo court. You were denied due processes, which is what you're entitled to under the 14th Amendment. And there's several other amendments where due process. I think it's also the fifth. um, that you'll see due process mentioned. But that is the second case, and then the third case is going against social media censorship. This is a big one. This is one that you really need to keep an eye on. Reason being is just because if this does not if this does not get pushed out moving forward, uh, there is no more freedom of speech. This court case here, I can't remember the name of it. It's like Missouri v. somebody. They're suing social media for. Damn, we just talked about it. I can't even remember. Um, But essentially, that's what the court case is. If you want to read a little bit more in depth, you'll have to go over to hobotech.com and kind of get to know that and understand that. If any of you guys have questions, let me know. No, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not here giving you legal advice. I'm sharing with you my knowledge, my experience, and what I know to be true because of all the studies that I've done over the years. Just because this is one of my many hobbies. I love knowledge. Bonjour, big up from France. What's up now? Nice to see you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's there's a lot going on, and if people don't start paying attention and instead of worrying about politics, because politics doesn't do much, it can't change what's coming on. um, in the 1830s, we were on the verge of a civil war because of the landlord tenant laws um, in New York. Essentially, if you owed $10 in rent, a horse was worth $20. They would come in, grab the horse. They would take your rent, and instead of like, if your rent was $10 and you got $20 for the horse, you'd at least get half back. But instead, or 2 months' pay. Instead, they just kept the difference in their pocket. So basically, they were going in there and robbing anybody that had anything of their livestock if they couldn't make their rent. Therefore, like double dipping in their pockets and going off and doing this every month. Well, what's up, Tricky Dick? So, anyways, the people got so pissed off that they went and they corralled up all of the not the politicians, but all of the landlords, and they brought them there to the courts to be able to have a trial. And the court said, "Look, this is something that's political. If you want the laws changed, elect the right politicians." Um, that worked back then because the country was still young, still new, wasn't ripe and rotten, wasn't falling apart, wasn't eating itself out from the inside. And now we're to a point where that no longer holds true. We're to a point where the federal courts are making such landmark decisions, especially when it comes to AI, when it comes to data privacy, when it comes to First Amendment rights, when it comes to due process. Um, Thanks for moving the paper towels. Thanks, Hannah. Um, but it's there's a lot of different there's a lot of stuff that's going on that if we're not paying attention, it's one more nail in the coffin to seal the fate of this country. I mean, it's pretty much already we've done too much damage to it for it to be able to survive. But anyways, anybody got any questions? Anybody want to know anything? I mean, you guys have watched a lot of my content if you've come across me here. YouTube doesn't really push me out because it doesn't like what I have to say. That's why I've gotten off YouTube platform. I come on here I come on here Tuesdays and Fridays. So Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern and Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern is normally when I come on. But this week I wanted to bring more attention to my to my blog and to my platform over there, because right now, if you're on social media, you're only getting the truth that they want you to have. On my point of view, we have horrible politics and politicians here in France. Whatever, interesting subject, brother. Well, thanks. Uh, Thanks, Neil. But it's just it's oh, we're to a point where yeah, there's nothing left that we can do. Uh, if at this point, this country, there's nothing left of it. Um, the only thing that should give you hope is if Trump gets ruled in favor, not because it's Trump, but because what his case in there is the right thing. It will do a lot because both parties benefit from illegal immigration. How do both parties benefit? It's real simple. Um, it's the Democrats get it because they get the Democratic base. The minorities come in and they vote. They generally vote Democratic, right? They have a loyalty because the Democrats are the ones that are letting them in. I mean, just when they were coming across the border, like, thank you, Joe Biden. Joe Biden told us to come. Da 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 da. Well, um, uh, uh, uh and then shit. Sorry, guys. Remember the knowledge bringer. Yes. What's up, Jason? Nice to see you. Um, and then on the right side, what ends up happening is they want to suppress wages. Our wages are not going up because we have people that are willing to come across the border illegally and get a check from some employer taking away an American job. They keep saying that Americans don't want these jobs. Well, no, they don't want these jobs because they pay so low compared to the skill level and the way in which it takes its toll on your body. Because like when you're doing physical labor, you're giving up a lot of your retirement and your peace of mind in retirement. Even my old man, 20 years in the army, he's got back issues, he's got shoulder issues, he's got a lot of issues. And when you do a lot of grunt work, you're going to pay a price for it, so you should at least get something for it up front. And so when you have when you could charge $20 an hour to go in there and paint, and you've got a Hispanic that comes across the border, will do it for $12 an hour. Now you're making $8 profit when normally you had to pay an apprentice $20 an hour because you're charging something like $50 an hour. So therefore, the employer gets to keep more money in his pocket. The job is not lucrative enough for the individual because the wages aren't there. They're supposed to be getting 20, not 12. But because they know they can get somebody coming across the border for 12, why would they hire you at 20? So therefore, they're not even willing to pay you a reasonable wage. And so this is another unintended consequence of these mass migrations. It's that it really hurts competition. It drives wages down. It drives them down to a point to where it's not that Americans don't want to work the jobs. It's just that you don't pay enough to be able to get it done. And these American corporations are so used to having cheap labor that now that they have to pay for it, they're now going for artificial intelligence, and they're going to start using artificial intelligence. ChatGPT is getting worse, not better. I the If I try and use it outside of some basic things, such as assisting me in writing, ChatGPT sucks. It's not worth the money. It's not that good. It continuously makes the same mistakes. It can, even when you correct it, even when you have it etched in permanent memory, has all these things that are going on. And so therefore, it's twice as much work to get something done with some of this AI. So I was telling Homeless Entrepreneur today that because him and I sat back and had a chat. I was telling him earlier today that this is like when the IT world went to Citrix. It used to be every satellite office had its own in-house IT to be able to do hands-on things. What up, Alexander? What was my last job? I owned a janitorial business. I had it for a little over 6 years. But anyways, like Citrix, and your whatchamacallit, you had your satellite IT guys. I mean, like a lot of your major stuff was done at corporate office, but your maintenance and your on-site tech support was there. Well, they thought that they would centralize it all in the head office, and they used something called Citrix, which would push an image over the internet, so it became like a web page to give you your whole operating system. But the transfer of data plus the encryption plus everything else that was going on caused so many issues that that it had bottlenecked. They lost productivity. They lost a lot of money. A lot of these big corporations lost millions of dollars because they had to go back to the old model. They were early adopters. Now Citrix does work in certain instances, especially with virtual private servers, but they don't. It doesn't work on especially on a large corporate scale, just because of the bandwidth and the amount of data. And I think that the way that AI is being implemented, it's being implemented in the same way that Citrix was. So unless it gets fixed, AI may not be as great of a tool as we think it is. Sorry, I've been talking for over 2 hours straight today. Hey, what's up, Kung Fu? Nice to see you, buddy. But that's kind of the more I get into Chat GPT, I'm actually canceling my membership with him, because I at first I thought it was worth it because it was good on writing, but when you try and get it to organize and to be able to use the data that you have there to be able to continuously cycle through it, so it can repurpose some of the other stuff that I've done and kind of help keep me on the same track. Instead, it just keeps giving me random things all the time. You can ask ChatGPT the same question 3 times. It'll give you 3 different answers, 3 different ways. We have my family are immigrants, true, but right now we don't have jobs and the population won't do hard work. It's not that the population won't do hard work now. The problem is that you're willing to do work for less money than the average person. And because you don't value yourself, you devalue everyone else. So therefore, because you come in and work cheaper, you therefore cut the knees out of the market for people that actually have skill and put, dedication into a job. I'm going to put more dedication into a job that pays me $20 an hour than I am into a job that's going to pay me $12 an hour to do the same thing. So therefore, you demotivate not only your local workers, but the foreign workers that come that aren't used to the society, the basic introduction of stuff. What they don't realize is that they're being destructive because they fail to assimilate. They still try and bring their culture with them. And just like I had one guy, he called me up. He's like, how much to come clean my house? And I asked him. He's like, it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. And I'm like, okay, it's going to cost you like $250, maybe 300, depending upon how dirty it is. Guy sits there and laughs at me and says, well, in my country, I have 3 people show up and clean my house on their hands and knees for $20. I told him, well, go back to your country, because this is American. That don't happen. And see, that's the problem with having immigrants. I'm over 40 APT. So, but yeah, that's the thing that people don't understand, is that, like, when I went from West Coast to East Coast, do you know how long and how hard it took me to adjust to East Coast lifestyle? Because on the West Coast, lifestyle is pretty laid back, it's pretty low, pretty slow, all those different things. But when you when you go to the East Coast, everything's fast, everything's cutthroat. People, it seems like they have less humanity, but they're just more rough around the edges. So I was so soft on the West Coast because, we say our pleasantries, hi, thank you, please. We say all these different things. And then you go over to the East Coast and it's like, get out of my way. You're too slow. If you can't figure this out, just get out of my way. Those types of things. It's wholly different because you're used to a slower paced lifestyle on the West Coast. So it's just like that same assimilation. For a lot of years, I hated the East Coast. It was too fast, it was too rough, and I just didn't like it. I didn't seem to be able to get along with the people. Well, after about 10 years of being down south, I finally assimilated. But I brought, whether I wanted to or not, I brought my environment with me. because that was learned knowledge and lived experience. Um, Thanks, Kung Fu. Um, it was learned knowledge through experience, and it was my environment, and so I brought that with me when I went east. Now I'm coming back west. Now I have to readopt. How long is it going to take me to assimilate? After being on the East Coast, I actually learned to prefer the East Coast over the West Coast because I realized that most of the people on the West Coast are fake. Um, but there's a reason for it. It's the way the laws and the environment is shaped. You're not allowed to defend yourself or your property. You are not even allowed to get into a fight over a disagreement without going to jail for up to 5 years. That's the reality of the situation. Most people think, oh yes, I can come, I can assimilate, but you're forgetting that there's a lot of culture and everything else, and it's really hard. And when you get to a new place, you're looking for comfort, so that's why they stick within their communities. But what they fail to realize is by carving out that community, they refuse to assimilate, and then they force everybody else around them to assimilate to them for their comfort, which is not fair to the local population who has its already embedded culture and stuff like that. Do you guys agree with me or disagree with me? I'm curious. Yeah, it's been like 95 today. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 96. Mm. Uh, just show up. You're one man. Yeah, I'm one man, but humans are humans, and we try and think that we're individual. But you got to realize, in order for us to make it this far in history, we had to evolve, and we had to pass that genetic memory on to our offspring. So that's just because the way that I'm doing it, I'm no different than anyone else. I'm not special. I'm no different. Nothing like smoking a doobie in a tow behind camper on a Monday evening. Well, this isn't a doobie, dude. This is a cigarette. I roll my cigarettes. I live on less than $300 a month, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that for a couple of reasons. Um, I need rest. I've ran myself into the ground for so long that I need to be able to have a couple of years where I can rest and relax and do something that's going to make me enough money to survive, but not enough money to make me rich. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to be rich. I just need to be able to survive, buy food, water, propane, and just sit here and live on my land and kind of right my brain and right myself. So I mean that's what I really want to do. Um, that's why I've been off and on the streets for 25 years. I've owned a business. Actually, I've owned several businesses, but I only had one that really took off. Um, I've had several YouTube channels. I just finally had one that took off. I've had a lot of different things, and I've had a lot of successes in life. I've done a lot of things. And that's the great thing about getting to this age is that I traded in comfort and riches in money for riches in lived experience. And now I can sit back and I can tell stories about all the cool things that I've done and that I've learned over the years that most people, what I've done in one lifetime, most people might take 3 lifetimes to do. Um, well, here's a funny story. You guys want to hear? So I used to be in the insurance industry. I used to be in the financial industry. Okay, and one of the founders of Primerica, his name was Bobby Busan. He was a Vietnam vet. Um, he bought life insurance before he went over. When he came back, he realized that if he would have died in war, he wouldn't have been able to what's the word he wouldn't have, his wife would have never been able to collect the insurance. So he got really mad. Him and A.L. Williams went into a company. They started a trend called uh, um, uh, uh, buy term and invest the difference. But anyways, I went to a seminar where all the partners, all like the top heads like A.L. Williams and stuff like that got together. And they Bobby Busan gets up and he's telling it as a joke, and this was in the after hours party. He tells a little bit of a joke, but it's not a joke. So there's this man, this businessman, and he goes down to Mexico, and he's looking for something to do. He wants to go out fishing, and so he goes out along the pier and finds all the boats are gone, or nobody's there. And so he finally finds somebody who's sitting on his boat, fishing off the side of his boat, drinking a beer. And the businessman asks him if he's ready to go. He says yes, and they get out there in the water and they get to talking. And he asks the guys, "What do you want to do?" He's like, I just want to sit and enjoy a beer on my boat and go fishing." And he's like, the businessman says, if you'd really put your nose to the ground, you could go out there, you could buy a whole bunch of boats and take a bunch of people out fishing and get this really big, large company. And after 40 or 50 years of hard work, you might be able to retire and sit on the boat and drink a beer and fish off the side of it, just giving random rides to random people. Think about that for a minute. Why would you go do this whole rat race to make all this money if all you want to do is sit on your boat and fish off the side of it and drink your beer? Okay, why would that be any different? Okay, think about that. So why would you go do something like that? That is the illusion that we're fed. And I don't know why I didn't really take to it very well. I've always been independent. I've always wanted to work for myself. I've always wanted to be my own boss. And I've always outworked my competition at work. No, I bought a piece of land. And if you want to know where I bought my land, you can go over to Stephanie at openairproperties.net, use the promo code FRIARTUCK, and you get $50 off your deposit. It's owner finance, no credit check, no banks. She carries the note. Very, very ethical, very fair, very good person. I love doing business with her, and I definitely love having her, telling all kinds of people about her, because she's just an amazing lady. You want to find a fair business person who isn't in it for the money, but is in it for seeing people reach their goals, who has real humanity. That's somebody that I have a lot of respect for, and always will have a lot of respect for, because I think what she's doing is an amazing thing. Because I thought it would take me years to find a piece of land. I was able to find one real quick. I took a leap out on a limb. I answered a Craigslist ad. I talked to her about it. I came and saw the land. I saw the website. I read the contract. The contract is what made me feel comfortable about doing business with her, and I'm glad she did such a good contract. Because what she does is she gives you a summary, and then you get to read the contract and then verify that everything in that summary is in that contract. Makes it so much easier. Especially if you're new to contracts. So go check out Stephanie at openairproperties.net. Tell her Friar Tuck sent you. If you give her the promo code Friar Tuck, she will give you $50 off of your deposit. What's up, DFH? Farming Florist. Hey, y'all. What's up, Farming Florist? Grit and grace, huh? Hold on. Man, it has been hot as hell today. Dry heat is better than humid heat, though, I got to tell you. So anyways, guys, yeah, and by the way, she does sponsor this channel. She sponsors me. She believes in what I'm doing, and she wants to make sure to keep the message alive. And so that's why after I didn't just buy the land and have her become sponsored, just so you guys know. I took a while to develop a relationship with her to decide even if I wanted to have a sponsor. But she was such a great person. I was like, yeah, I would love to be sponsored by somebody like that, somebody who believes in the mission. So that's a big reason why you'll always hear me say great things about Stephanie, is because I didn't just take her on just to get a sponsor. I vet my sponsors. I'm very careful about who I get into bed with as far as sponsorship goes, because they can either be an asset or they can be a giant wrecking ball. And the last thing I need is a giant wrecking ball. And the great thing about Stephanie is she's an asset, because I live off grid. A lot of you might want to live off grid, so on and so forth. Tuck is the feral princess sleeping. She's underneath the trailer trying to keep cool. Yeah, she's in the pool, or down underneath the thing. I actually took her over to the water tank today, and I filled up my bucket and I doused her in it just to cool her off, to make sure she was cool. But yeah, she's underneath. She is not liking the world right now. It's too hot for her. Um, it's kind of like when we had that heat wave in last year, when we were in where were we? We were in Ohio on the Buckeye Trail. How do they sponsor you? Do they pay you money? I don't give away the terms, but what I will say is that she is a sponsor. And that's all I'm legally required to say here on YouTube. And plus, most sponsors will put in the contract that you're not allowed to talk about what you get paid. You're only allowed to mention them as a sponsor, to thank them for being a sponsor. That's the thing about YouTube. Please tell me where we're talking about a dog right now. Yes, my dog Sam. So, Tuck Trades, HJs for sponsorship. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, no, I don't. Um, Stephanie's never mind. Um, Evaporative coolers, swamp coolers run about 50 to 60 watts. They definitely help in dry places, Tuck. Hey, what's up, Captain Apana? Um, let's see. Definitely help dry, arid places. I've been thinking about it, but again, it costs money, and right now I'm making just enough to make my property payment, my water, my propane, and make sure that I have my basics for me and Sam, because that big bag of dog food ran out, so I got to keep going in every week and getting her dog food. And I haven't been being cheap about it. I've been getting her the stuff that's like, it's not exactly premium, but it's not exactly bottom basement like Old Roy or kibble or anything else like that. I've been trying to give her a better diet. Um, uh, no, I call her she's probably more of a medium hair than a short hair. Because her hair is about that long. So, but yeah, she's doing good. Um, but anyways, you guys, if you want to come over and check out the broadcast that I do every evening, Monday through Friday. So on Monday, I do Constitutional Monday. So we did that broadcast before this. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about Privacy Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about threats to your privacy, how to how to protect yourself. We did a really in-depth thing last week, and you're going to want to keep following along week to week. This isn't something where you can plug in once, hear something, and know what you're doing. This is something where you got to kind of follow along, because there's a bigger picture that I'm trying to paint, and I'm trying to do it in more of an elegant way. So Wednesday is about community building. When the world falls apart, when the grid goes down, you need to have a community. How do you build community? What are the threats to community? How has the community been eroded or degraded over time, and what can you do about it? And then Thursday, because of the AI and the way that the market and the job place is going, most people are going to be forced into the digital economy as jobs get automated over time. And because jobs are getting automated, people are going to be forced into the digital economy. So you need to understand, especially if you want to live off grid, especially if you want to, get yourself a homestead. And by the way, Stephanie does have multiple properties next to each other. Like, I know she's got a three acres over here and like a couple of acres over here that are next to each other. So if you're looking at bundling, let her know that you're part of this community, and she will she'll give you community pricing on if you buy multiple acres. But you got to ask her what her deal is. That's between you and her. She gives you a special deal, but that's only if you get multiple pieces of land. So then you can negotiate a different deal. So but the thing is, that's only for this community. It's not just for anybody that comes by. And then on Friday we talk about Spiritual Friday. This is where we talk about, like last week we talked about morals versus ethics. What are morals? What are ethics? How do each of us govern us? How does it benefit us in life? Which one is more important? How do we shape our ethics? How do we choose our morals? How do we create harmony in our life? This is non-religious, non-dogmatic. It is more about bringing harmony to yourself, to your environment, and to your community. So yes, a lot of people like the Monday topic. It's the blog is already up there. So if you go to hobotuck.com and you click on blog, it'll take you to all of my articles, and I embed the audio into the article. The article is there more or less so that people can search it, because I'm counting on people listening to it. So you're going to get an audio instead of getting a video, because I mean, look, I'm right here. I'm in, you get to see me talk and stuff like that, but you could easily just kind of put me to the side and listen to me, and you would get the same amount of information versus watching me. That's why it's in audio. I focus more on quality of content than I do on the cinematography and all that other stuff, because I think that when real people want real answers, they don't care about how pretty it looks. They care about it being a solution, and that's where I put my focus at as far as my stuff. Hey, what's up, Wayne? Nice to see you. So come on over to hobotuck.com and sign up for my newsletter. I had one person sign up for my newsletter, so I am going to send them a special gift. I just hadn't gotten around to it. Today was my first email that was getting sent out. I was going to send it out 30 minutes before a live broadcast, but I think what I'm going to do is at the end of my day, all of the content that I do, so the stuff that's here on YouTube, the stuff that if I use any other platforms for video and audio, that outside of YouTube and my website, I will be able to put all that content in one place. So you can either get a daily digest or a weekly digest of the content that I'm putting out in written, video, and audio formats, including including written. So that's something I can encourage you guys to do. Did you use to make the newsletter? Um, to make the newsletter? No. I actually did all that on my own. I used it to help me with instructions, because just like you can go on Google and you say how to, well, you can go on to ChatGPT and say, how do I? And so I asked ChatGPT, how do I do it? It's what I want in there. It's all me. I'm using it more as an assistant to teach me along the way, because I don't have 8 hours to figure out how to create something. I know what I want. I know how to describe it. Now tell me how I implement this. Stuff like that. If my chats aren't good enough, what? That's fine, Paul. But no. I generally, here's the thing, and I have people that ask me this. I have people that ask me, how much ChatGPT do you use? My knowledge is up here. Okay. I have brain damage, so it's very hard for me to articulate everything. If you listen to how I was trying to recall what I talked about earlier today, I could barely do it. I need something in writing to see in front of me so that I can remember, because my memory sucks. And so I use ChatGPT more as training wheels to help me articulate my message so that I'm not all over the place. Because I have a tendency, if you watch a lot of my earlier content, I would start off on one topic, and within 3 minutes, I would answer that question. And then I would just end up rambling off on other topics. Part of it was because the way I was told how you do monetization on YouTube is you want like 10 to 15 minute videos. So a lot of the stuff I have to say, unless it's really in depth, like what hobotuck.com is, unless it's really in depth, I can basically give you the answer in a couple of minutes. No, you do well on those audios. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, but I know a lot of people have animosity towards ChatGPT, but here's the reality of the situation. You could sit there and hate these AI bots all you want. They're still coming for your job. You have two choices. You stand up and you say, fuck it, I don't want to do it. I'm gonna try and never use technology. Fine. That's fine. Or either that, or I'm just never going to use AI. Well, everything that you're going to be using in the next 5 years is going to be AI. My website, if I got to go to SiteGround to get something done, I have to go through an AI bot before I can even get to an actual person. It's like this on so many different platforms and so many different ways in which you do business. So if you don't get proficient in actually learning it, it doesn't mean you have to like it. But if you're going to remain in your job, if you like your job and you want to remain competitive, you are going to have to adopt artificial intelligence in some form or fashion. And it's better to do it on your terms than on somebody else's terms. And the way that social media is about to get out of control, because with VO3, basically there is no more content creation. What's up, Craig? Nice to see you. Um, what's up, Seaside? AI can do programming quite well. All you need is an idea. Um, I don't agree. Either that or I'm a power user. As a power user, I expect it to perform much better, and I'm extremely disappointed. Um, I'm extremely disappointed in ChatGPT. I won't even touch Grok anymore because Grok is basically like talking to a teenager. Um, I haven't used some of the others just because of other things that I've found out about them. Um, but there are ecosystems that are coming, and so you need to become proficient with them. I'm a power bottom. That's not you and Kung Fu might like each other. We're almost in the matrix, so we need to use it as a tool. Yes, but you need to be cautious about it because um, you people the way it communicates with you, the way it's worded in the language and the coding is it will break down your walls if you start trusting it, if you start relying on, oh, this is easy. Because like my social media posts, I have it read my blog and give me a post for it, and with the blog link, and so therefore I go and I post it. um it's being recommended that I start doing handwritten posts, and which I'm going to start working on. But AI can streamline that, and if you trust it. But here's the thing, it, you can't trust it. You can't trust it, no matter how much you want to, no matter how much you think you cannot. Okay, it is a tool. It is not a human being. It is not a sentient being. It is nothing more than ones and zeros. Oh, yeah, I know. You want this. You want this beautiful red beard, huh? But I mean, that's just the crux of the issue. So no, no, dude, AI. So all the how-to videos. So most companies, how they do their advertising is they do how-to videos. I'm going to tell you how to do this, or I'm going to do a review or an explanation about this. But what I'm really doing is I'm trying to gain your trust through giving you an answer to a problem and showing you how I have a solution if you want to reach out to me. That is how digital marketing has been being done for God, close to 10 years now. They're starting to get away from it, but it used to be highly it used to be very common. That's where your evergreen content comes from. But you just what's okay. Um, but with VO3, they're coming for all that. All these companies are going to start. Why would I want to pay a content creator that has 2,000 subscribers $500 to do a video for me on a topic that I want, with me as the name sponsor, so that I can get access to his viewers plus any future viewers that come back and read this because da 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 da. Okay, and so they're thinking about, why would I pay that guy $500 when I can pay Google or ChatGPT, OpenAI, or XAI, that ecosystem. I could pay them $50 a month, and I could get unlimited videos. I could put out 5 to 10, 15 videos a week, and not even think about it, and saturate the market with artificial intelligence. Shorts. Shorts are going to be the first place they go after. Long form is going to be the second place that they come after. And so therefore, where do I compete? If I want to keep my audience, and if my audience values a real human being that has the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom to be able to do the things that I've done and share those with you to help you learn, um, I need to take you off of YouTube, off of social media, because otherwise I'm going to get drowned out in the AI in the AI saturation that's about to come. And then they're going to force content creators like me that are real humans to pay to play, which means we're going to have to pay for ad clicks to get on an artificial intelligence video so somebody will come and see our video. Brett Favre, if he was a redhead, maybe. But no. Uh, um, but anyways, by golly, if we weren't heterosexual, boy, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're kung fu. You want to know what? Every guy likes getting hit on by a gay guy, even if he says he doesn't, because he's like, dude, even a dudes think I'm sexy. So, I mean, if a dude thinks I'm sexy, then a woman definitely thinks I am. So, anyways, all right, guys, my voice is Triple H. Yes. All right, my voice is starting to go out if you can't hear, just because of all the talking I've done for this week. Possibly next week, I'm gonna do this, but I'm doing this to bring notice over to Hobo Tuck. If you want to either listen to my past broadcasts or listen live, all the information's over there. Hobotuck.com. Go check it out. All that good stuff. I will see you tomorrow evening. Thanks for being here.